Hey everyone! Ty once again. Welcome to another episode of Indiana Jones Radio. Back again with, as always, with
Devin Hurd, Master of Fear.
yes. We have the usual announcements. Right now the cat is roaming, so he will make his cameo. And I don't have anything to eat. I just had pizza. I have some Oreos, but I think I'm a little Oreoed out right now. And I have some milk. Um, and also, in case you guys can't hear Devin, I just advise you to turn up the volume. Please work with us. Hopefully, I can get the Bluetooth speaker next week from my cousin. It depends on her schedule. She is a nurse, so keep that in mind, people.
Yes. Well, I have a pear and chocolate milk. I know those don't go together, but hey, it's fruit is food.
There's the cat.
Yeah, making his cameo.
Yes. Um. Well.
Who
Yeah.
truly
Well.
owns
Yeah.
the chin?
Oh, yuck! You can keep the pear. uh. Anyway, we're going to talk about Indiana Jones and the Trenches of Hell. And yeah, this is one of my favorites.
Same here. I really like the second part. I liked, but not as much as the first part because I really like this kind of war stuff, and just seeing that was like so good. And then the one part that did shock me is like when they're talking to the other soldiers.
Sorry.
And you see this,
Yeah. Oh yes, and folks, obviously spoilers. It seems like we're getting to spoilers right away. So.
Yeah. So yeah, getting into spoilers. Okay, so you know when the soldiers are all online and the one guy with the scar and he talks to the one other soldier?
Yeah.
Well, it surprised me because that other soldier was like a kid.
Well, yeah. Well, remember in the Great War, a lot of kids lied about their age. Probably. I believe some of the younger ones, the youngest ones were like 12, maybe. Because what they would do is they would find, like, if say you were 12, just find a way to make that 12 into an 8. And this is really before, like, they really checked IDs and everything in the military and stuff. And a lot of, like, young kids were in this war, and it shows that. And one of the great things about this series is this part is we get to see some very early CGI, because they use CGI to basically copy and paste all the soldiers in one shot, and it looked pretty good. You can't. This is 19.
I noticed that was CGI. I thought those soldiers were all real.
Yeah, well, yeah. That says something about that CGI and how you film CGI. CGI, it seems like, you use that was probably 75 millimeter, maybe. I'm not quite sure. You use wide shots to hide the fact that it's CGI. You don't get up close to it like some modern directors. And it proves that it shows how much the Belgians really went throughout the war. This is last shot we saw of Indiana Jones and Remy. They're going off to Belgium, and in the next episode, all their commanders are dead. Indiana Jones is just a corporal, which a corporal. It's kind of. It's
not the highest.
Not the highest rank, but you're still in charge. But military. Military men could quote me on. I'm not in the military or anything. But I believe like corporal is the highest commanding rank, maybe, like under privates or something like that. I'm not sure. So feel free to correct me in the comments. I'm not well versed in military ranking history. So, but Indiana Jones is only 16 years old in this, and he's a corporal in the Belgian army. I can't imagine when I was 16 being, just being that, a commanding officer, and that, I mean, because, and especially with men like this, I mean, some of these men are honestly getting early signs of shell shocked or PTSD, whatever you want to call it. And I mean, there are some. One of the reasons why I say that this is one of the best World War I adaptations of any story I've ever seen is because it just the beginning shot alone proves how the title alone just fits this title, Trenches of Hell. It shows in very few scenes how the trenches were hell for them.
Yeah, it does. I would not want to be there.
No, and then there's also a scene where they show mustard gas and how effective that was, and you feel, you never knew this character, but I think you more feel for Indiana Jones the way it's directed because he wants his gas mask, but he can't give it to him because then Indiana Jones will die, and Indiana Jones has to make that decision that what. I'm not going to give him his mask. I mean, Indiana Jones probably knew this guy because I think he was a Belgian.
It was him. That is one of the hard choices of war. Sometimes you gotta choose your life over someone else's.
Yeah, and even if you were best friends with this guy, I mean, you're like, sometimes you got to save your own butt, And
No.
I mean, just very. And Remy, it makes you fall in love with the character of Remy more, I think, because while everybody else is going through this just total hell, and everybody's going through it, you can see how Remy is.
Remy, sorry, I'm not good with names. Remy is the guy Indiana Jones.
It's his friend in this.
The guy he's always with.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
So I am getting his name correct.
Yes. And it got it.
I saw with him, and he's actually I like his character. I feel like he is a good partner to Indiana Jones.
Yeah, well, I love how he's kind of in this whole situation, where, all the Belgians are going through living hell. He's kind of like the glue that is keeping everybody together, and
Yeah.
And I mean, there's even a certain scene where Indy loses Remy, and I know from watching the series that Remy survives, but there's
Wait, he survived?
yeah. Spoiler alert for you.
Well, you should have said spoilers. Sorry, episodes blend together. Because I don't remember seeing him in the jail. Did he go to the jail?
No, he later finds him. So, yeah. Sorry about that. There.
I'm sorry. When I was watching the episode, I thought he died. I was like, well, I guess this is the end of his character. That's why I was saying he was. I thought he was a good character.
Well, he survives. I mean, so yeah, he. It really makes you care about his character. He's a good character, and then in the next part, because this was actually a made-for-TV movie. This was not 2 episodes combined. We're getting to the made-for-TV movie ones. So.
I still thought it was 2 episodes put together.
Yeah. This was. I believe that these were the made-for-TV, more or less made-for-TV movie ones. I mean, maybe released in 2 parts, but But yes, the next part is Indiana Jones basically in a prison escape, and that's just a lot of fun. I mean, it has great homages to The Great Escape, and I Really hope Devin has seen that movie.
Sorry, no, I've not seen it. The Great Escape.
Oh boy, that's on a must list.
Well, can't go anywhere right now.
Well, as a matter of fact, yeah. That's on a must list. Probably buy it on Amazon. It's worth it. But
well, money, like it's a money thing with me. I want to see these movies, like these classic movies, but it's buying them. Right now, I'm focused on buying the Indiana Jones trilogy again. That's my main thing to get. So.
Yeah.
Because we're reviewing the like this, and then we're reviewing the movies, right?
Right.
So yeah, I need to get those.
Yes. So yes, this was a lot of fun. In this episode, Indiana Jones meets Charles de Gaulle. Now, Charles de Gaulle at this time he mainly served a lot of his time in World War One with the French army, and he was pretty much in war, prison. You could say concentration camp because that's basically what he was in the beginning, but it was a prison, and he escaped multiple times, and he pretty much spent the majority of the war in prison.
I didn't think he was an actual historic character.
Yeah, Charles de Gaulle was a real person. Then later on in World War II, he was the first person to actually start tanks for World War II.
So he survived World War One.
Yes.
Okay, so spoilers here. When he got caught at the end, I was kind of sad because I'm like, is he gonna die?
Well, I mean, I don't really consider history spoilers, so. I did not think he was like. I thought he was a character made up for the show. No, Charles de Gaulle. Then later on, Charles de Gaulle.
Is he returned in the series?
No, I don't think so. Charles de Gaulle then later on became a leader of France and clashed with Winston Churchill and kind of made France and England enemies for a while. So yeah, and I guess he died in 1970 while watching TV.
What a way to go!
Just complained to his wife that his neck hurts, and I guess he died holding the remote in his hand. You know, I gotta say, if I'm gonna go, I want to go like that, just holding the remote in my hand. You know.
What if someone walks in and sees? Well, what's he watching? Oh, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
There you go. But yes, I really like this episode, and you know, this is kind of when you really start to buy Sean Patrick Flanery, I think, as young Indiana Jones. You really start
Especially when he tries to escape.
Yeah, you really start to really like him, and he's a great character. I mean, because he's a really underrated actor, and I really wish that this series, I mean, he played Indiana Jones. This was his first big acting role, and he went on to do really the Boondock Saints, and then that's it. He had to go straight to TV, straight to DVD movies. Not that there's nothing wrong with that, but I wish I would see him in more other things. I mean, I know unfortunately he was in that movie with that director of Jeepers Creepers, Victor Salva. We're not going to get into that on why I don't like him. We all know why I don't like him as a director.
Well,
we're not going
to. Even though what he did.
Yeah.
Still Jeepers Creepers as a movie.
Yeah. Well, I don't
want to get into that whole topic. Though. about that. I just
Yeah, we're not going to get into that. But I just felt the need to mention that. Yeah, he was in a movie called Powder, which I remember seeing once as a kid. I don't remember. I don't think that Disney movie's on Disney Plus, and to some extent, I'm kind of happy it's not on Disney Plus. So because it's directed by that guy. So, but anyway, let's move on. Um,
okay, so um, I was actually kind of sad when those two guys died because I was like rooting for them. Like I was sitting there watching.
the Russians.
Yeah, because I was rooting for them. I'm like, yeah, they're gonna get higher, and then the rope started going, and I was like, oh, damn it.
Well, I mean, you think about that. That takes a lot of twine. Like that's like you've dealt with twine before like that. I mean, that's a lot of twine just to. That is
I think if they would have went one at a time, I think they would have made it.
maybe. I mean,
Maybe.
that. I mean, yeah, you kind. It is kind of funny though. I mean, it kind of you. It kind of it is kind of funny though that they, the Russians in that scene they assume, oh, he's an American, he must be cowboy. But like cowboys were not really from New Jersey, where Indiana Jones from. They were mainly from, well, the Midwest and stuff like that. More in that area. Not really so much. There are not a lot of cowboy, New Jersey cowboys. So
Yeah, that was funny because like you're American, right? You cowboy like a moving picture.
yeah, well, and because that's what they used to call movies back in the day, moving pictures. And a lot of cowboy stars were big at the Western has been there since the beginning of cinema. I mean, the first movie was a Western. I mean,
Well, actually, technically, the first movie was actually just people walking around. Like, walking around. It wasn't really a movie, it was more of a video, I would say.
yeah, well, I mean, the first movie, with an actual camera and everything, was made by Thomas Edison, and it was a Western. So, the Western has.
I'll have to build a time machine and track down Thomas Edison and beat the crap out of him, steal his invention, and make the first movie, a superhero movie.
Yeah, you could.
I'll rewrite everything.
Well, yeah. And as we know now, Thomas Edison probably did not invent the video camera. He just took credit for it. So.
Probably killed the guy, took it, and was like,
I don't know if Thomas Edison was a murderer, but
no, I would say he probably would hire someone to murder someone.
maybe.
Sometime Norman Osborn hired the Vulture to like go after, get like the one guy in the one Spider-Man series I watched. It's a YouTube series.
Yeah. So
I guess they do have a lot in common.
So yes, the Western has been there since the beginning of cinema, and at this time the big cowboy star was William S. Hart. Probably not a good sound actor. Probably better silent actor. So we'll get into the last episode of the series on why some actors didn't really go on to make good
Are we close to the final episode? Do we got a while ways to get there?
Okay, we're at episode 9 of Indiana Jones Radio. Okay, so when you did an intro, we did we're close-ish or so. I did one of. Okay, there's overall 12 movies in this series, and I'm trying to do the math on how many we watched. So
we should be getting, but Indiana Jones Radio will not end with Young Indiana Jones. It will end with
Indiana Jones movie. Why can I not remember what it's called?
Well, no, it's not even going to end with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, so...
Oh, we're going past that? Is there stuff past that?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about the books and everything, and video games. 'Cause this is gonna be an Indiana Jones channel. We're gonna talk about
all of it. We're gonna consume it all.
Yeah.
So we're doing the video games after the movies, right?
Possibly.
Possible. Okay. I don't know if I'll be able to play the video games. Probably just watch gameplay reviews of it.
One.
Now. What's going on?
Oh, just count. Sorry, I was counting to see how many episodes we have left.
Oh. Well, I'm gonna say this while you're doing that. Okay, so getting towards the end of the second part, after the failed escape attempt, they try, so this other guy and Indiana Jones hide in the coffins, and they think they're gonna get buried. And they're like planning it with the two guys buried so they can escape. Well, then they tell them that they're not gonna cremate. They're gonna cremate the bodies, and so that part was really intense because I literally thought they were gonna get cremated. I knew Indiana Jones was gonna get cremated because it's young Indiana Jones, but I thought the one guy was gonna get cremated.
Yeah.
It's
a very, very intense scene.
Yeah, because I'm like, how are they going to get out of this? And they did.
6.
And of course, sadly, the guy got caught at the end. But Indiana Jones got free.
Thank you. I got Corona.
It doesn't cause sneezing. That'd be coughing.
Yeah. 8? I think we have 8 episodes left, folks. But yeah, after this, we're definitely going to talk about Indiana Jones' expanded universe. Because Indiana Jones has a very interesting expanded universe where it's it's just one guy throughout this whole expanded universe. I'm going to we're going to talk about after this. I haven't decided because, well, we have a long way to go. We have 8 movies. We have 8 movies, and then four, four official movies. We might talk about the books. We might talk about the video games. All of the video games, it's a playthrough on YouTube. Where you can watch all 8 hours of one video game and all 6 hours of another video game. If Devin can sit for that long, then okay. If
I will do it for this.
Yeah, but we'll talk about Indiana Jones's expanding universe. We'll talk about some of his comics. We'll try to get all the books we can get our hands on. Some of them are, good luck finding them. I mean, they're super, super rare, out of print and everything. I read one of them back when I was a little kid. It was a Choose Your Fate adventure book. You ever hear about those?
Yeah, there was one I read back in school. It was a Choose Your Own, and it was the Titanic. I died so many times because I made the wrong choice. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah, I think it was Indiana Jones and the Silver Tower. See, I don't consider those ones canon because those were kind of written – not really with George Lucas's approval. And actually, one of the first, the author who actually wrote a lot of those Choose Your Fate adventure books of Indiana Jones was R.L. Stein. And Devin, you know who R.L. Stein is, don't you?
Yes, Goosebumps.
Yes, that's how he got his start. He started writing Indiana Jones adventure novels.
Viewers beware, you're in for a scare.
There you go. And yeah, but I thought R.L. Stein was Jack Black.
I used to think, you know, the guy in the Mask movies. I don't remember his name. He's the guy that Jim Carrey goes to, and he's trying to tell him about the mask. But
Ben Stein.
Yeah, I thought him and R.L. Stein was the same person. I thought they were the same person.
Wow, Bueller.
What?
Wow, Bueller.
Who's Bueller?
Really? You never seen Ferris Bueller?
Oh, no, Ferris Bueller. I've seen that movie where he goes and like skips
Bueller.
school.
Bueller.
I didn't know what you meant by that.
Yeah. Trying to do my best R.L. Stein impression. I can't. Oh, well. Ben Stein.
I've seen. I can't say it for some reason. My voice does not allow me to say. Yeah. Yep. My voice is like, no, you cannot say that.
Okay, so yes, but yeah, we'll talk about Indiana Jones' expanded universe, because Indiana Jones, that's one of the reasons why I say it's one of the most underrated franchises, because people only acknowledge the 4 movies, either that or they say, oh, there's only 3 movies. When it's just like, there's this series, there's Indiana Jones' expanded universe. I mean, there's one of them where Indiana Jones... Now, I joked about this. There's one of them where Indiana Jones finds Noah's Ark. It's titled something different. But I said, well, you could joke about that. You could have a joke title. Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Other Lost Ark. I just think it would be so funny if Disney actually did that as a joke, and you realize how many fans of Lucas will take that so seriously and not even realize that it's a joke. I mean, people would be ranting on the internet. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. They're taking away from Raiders. They're doing this. I mean, not even realizing that it's a joke. Raiders of the Other Lost Ark. I would laugh if Disney actually did that.
They probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't feel like they would have a sense of humor.
Yeah, well, here's another thing that I guess we could talk about. There's been talks about, what they could do with a Disney, an official Indiana Jones land and stuff, which I don't even know if Indiana Jones would work as a land. And I've seen videos of Star Wars Land. I'm kind of with Devin. I think that it could. Now, I think that maybe you don't like it at all from what you've seen. But
I don't like Star Wars Land. I would not go to Star Wars Land, and I'm probably not gonna like Marvel Land. It's better. And you know what's funny about that is Universal Studios actually had a Spider-Man ride, and I don't think the Spider-Man ride Disney is gonna have is gonna compare to that one at all.
No, well, here's my thing. I think that I think Star Wars Land could be better. It needs to it needs a ride that maybe is a sequel to the sequel trilogy, but you actually give Rey a threat. Do not if you want to see people get, have people not say Rey's a Mary Sue. Have your story in the ride where Rey is vulnerable. Like, she thinks she's, the Star Wars Superwoman, but then you have a guy who literally puts Rey at her knees and makes her...
One thing, I don't think Disney would do that because, Rey gotta be the strong woman. The strong woman. We gotta have these strong women, even though we have strong women characters that are better than Rey, better than Captain Marvel and all these. Like, Wonder Woman. Why can't they look at that and be like, we should make that because that was actually good?
I don't really like Wonder Woman.
I'm talking about comic book Wonder Woman.
Okay.
I am not talking about movie Wonder Woman. I'm like ish on it. It's probably the best one out of the DCEU, and that's the same much as the DCEU.
I can't get. See, I think they should have worked with Gal Gadot, like on her accent and stuff. Because okay, you know the original line in Terminator. Okay, the classic line, "I'll be back." Well, the original line was, "I'll come back." Okay. Now James Cameron has later changed his story later on, but the original line of the script was, "I'll come back." Okay. But Arnold, with his thick Austrian accent, he couldn't say "come." So instead, it sounded like "I'll come back." It sounded very inappropriate. I'm trying to be a little PC here, but it sounded like "come" instead of "come." Does that make sense to y'all?
It makes sense to me. I know what you're talking about.
Yes. He did not want to do. So they changed it to that to fit Arnold. When you have a line that says, "I have to do my duty," if you have a thick accent, it sounds wrong because of the way she says it. So it sounds like, "I have to do my duty." Like, oh my gosh, that either do another take or rework the line for your actor. I mean, I'm sorry. That's one of the reasons why, like, I say that women can be great directors, but they need to have a certain personality to be a director. I mean, women can be great directors. I am not saying that women can't be good directors, people, but some women do not have a strong personality to be a good director. You need to have, like, okay, you need to sit there, no, do another take, or let's rework the line because you are saying it completely wrong and people are going to make fun of you. Especially in today's age, people.
Okay, what I want out of this is like, okay, so I want a female superhero that can be like on the level of Batman, Superman, and Spider-Man.
Well, and even okay, yeah, folks are not.
I want comics to make a good female superhero, not a Mary Sue character. I don't want a Mary Sue. I don't want that. I want a good character. I don't care if they're a man or a woman. I do not give crap as long as they are good character.
Yeah, I mean they could be a purple non-male, non-female. I just want a good character that I care about, you know? I mean, because
not someone who never faces any hardships and always gets everything right.
Exactly. Well, Ray, if you really want to make people stop calling Ray and Mary Sue Disney, because I know you guys are getting tired of that, make a ride that you say, okay, this is...
They're not going to do it because remember, the Force is feminist. God, I hate that. Star Wars didn't need real life politics in it. It was a fictional world. Didn't need...
Well, if you hire Ty Romulus Nyberg as the CEO or chairman of the board, I could push that and say, listen, you guys might not like this, but if you want to stop having Ray be called a Mary Sue, this is how you do it. You make Ray vulnerable. Because I think Ray has the potential to be a good character. But she is Superman without kryptonite. That's all she is. And I think that could work for Star Wars. You have a all-powerful Superman-like being, but she needs a kryptonite.
Well, in really take that case, we just need a relatable character, and I don't know where you can move on with the story of Star Wars. I feel like it should. People need to let go.
Yeah. Well, and I don't even want to see modern. I don't want to see modern politics in Indiana Jones because they take place not in today's age, and that's how you do it. Again, like from what you've learned from Indiana Jones, he's a character who could kind of be a modern day character in a 1930 setting because he understands different cultures. He and from what all you've seen, he understands all this stuff. I mean, Young Indiana Jones is a good origin story for Indiana Jones. That's basically how I always looked at it. So it's like when they make it's like his Young Indiana Jones. You could essentially call it like Indiana Jones Year One, or year 16 years or something like that, or whatever. But it's his little prequel comic book story, and that's what I like about the Young Indiana Jones series and his expanded universe. Is you understand this character more, and that's one of the reasons why I say that it's one of the most underrated franchises, because people only acknowledge some of the movies. And from what you've seen of Young Indiana Jones, you're really enjoying it, aren't you?
Yeah, I don't feel like it should be ignored just
Yeah,
because it
well-
was a TV show.
Well, yeah, and like I would love to see the character of Remy come back in a new movie, and I'm really trying to think of an actor who could play this character. I have a few suggestions, but I just don't know if they would really work. Because you kind of really need to do a Belgian accent. I mean, one of the actors I actually thought of, and it's mainly just because, I want to see him in more movies. I don't want to see him do TV work like he's doing. I suggested Brendan Fraser.
Who?
Brendan Fraser.
Brendan Fraser?
Yes. The
That name sounds familiar.
the Mummy.
Oh yeah.
George.
Bring him back as the character.
Bring him back as Remy. I just don't know if he could do a Belgian accent, but
Well, I know if they'll bring the character back, because I feel like with the Indiana Jones 5, what they're gonna want to do is make it all nostalgia for the original movie, so they wouldn't want to touch the TV series. They'd like, we need to get all this nostalgia bait to bring the expands in, kind of like they did for The Force Awakens.
right. Well,
Or kind of like what they're doing with this new Ghostbusters movie, the nostalgia bait. They're
Yeah.
boring and then saying, you like this thing from the old times? Well, here's a piece of it. And then most of the time they just ruin it.
and I'm still rooting. I'm still rooting for the new Ghostbusters. I'm still rooting for it. I mean,
I trusted Ghostbusters 2016. See, that, I've had people tell me, I'm sexist before, but I'm really not. Because when Ghostbusters 2016 came out, I was glad. I didn't care that they were girls. I'm like, finally, a new Ghostbusters movie. And then I watched it, I'm like, what did I just see? And why does it exist? Because, they could have done so much good with it. But no, they couldn't. They just couldn't. Why?
I finally watched that last year, and because I had a chance to see it actually for free in theaters, and I just like, yeah, I don't really want to see the new Ghostbusters in theaters. And
I paid money for it, and I went to see it in theaters because I believed in it. I believed in Ghostbusters 2016, and it crushed. And I'm not even I'm still relatively young. You could call me a millennial or whatever they say. You could call me that because and I don't like all this stuff. But they
see, well, that says something, because I mean, I think that honestly, watching Young Indiana Jones and stuff for young people like Devin, he, because it'll influence you on like history figures, and then you have guys like me who are love history and love movies and stuff, and I could teach you guys and everybody here about history, and guys who you should look up to, and not some random person on the internet who just is known for posting bikini pictures.
One thing I've done with my life is okay, I've seen people in my life, my brother is a prime example, who will literally worship actors and movies. Literally. I've seen people like that, and I feel like we need to be more human. We need to be more about each other rather than argue about the stuff like what is better, what I like best, or this or that. I feel like
Well,
all this stuff is just and okay, so this is kind of getting personal. I usually never get personal, but like this topic needs it. Okay, so my brother is a ginormous fan of the 80s and 80s culture. I've said that I told him once that he said, "Oh, why is this actor playing this crappy movie?" And I said, "Because it's a job." And he got so angry he burst in and slammed his door and locked it and did not want to talk to me afterwards because I told him acting was a job.
it is. I mean,
That's how some people are these days. Is like, he's like, I've known people like that just take like. I feel like a movie. You should enjoy a movie, not worship a movie.
well, I mean, I look up to that's one of the reasons why I look up to a lot of actors of the past. I mean, say what you want about actors from the past. I mean, I've heard it all before, and but like Clark Gable, for instance, was a man. Clark Gable in the 1930s stood up for racism. I mean, Clark Gable, if he was alive during the 60s, civil rights movement, Clark Gable would have been marching with Martin Luther King. He would have even spoken probably at Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech if he was alive in that time period. Clark Gable was a man. He even heard about a guy who was messing around with Shirley Temple, and he was being creepy and weird. And you know what Clark Gable did instead of, making a documentary about it, I support what Corey Feldman did and everything, because I understand why he did it the way he did. It wasn't a scam or anything like that, but Clark Gable, he showed the guy the real way and the way that real men do it, because at that point, if you mess with children like that, you're not a man anymore. Clark Gable punched him in the face. Gave the guy a purple eye. Now,
He deserved it.
yeah, well, you realize how hard you have to punch somebody to give them a purple eye? Not a black eye, a purple eye. Clark, and it knocked him out in one punch. Knocked him out cold in one punch. So Clark Gable was a man. John Wayne was a man. I have a subscriber of mine who doesn't like John Wayne because, for whatever BS reason, but John Wayne was a man. And like he said something to the extent of John Wayne said that actors should always play heroes. If they're known as a hero actor, they should play heroes. If they're a villain, they should play villains. I'm like, yeah, that might have been what John Wayne believed, but John Wayne played villains. This guy should do his research, and yeah, if he wants to go ahead and dislike and leave me an angry comment. John Wayne played villains before. He my favorite movie of all time, John Wayne's the villain, The Searchers, and he admitted to me he's never seen that movie. So go watch it. And John Wayne even was the villain in The Greatest Story Ever Told, and that's about Jesus, and actually it stars Max von Sydow, who just passed away. Which that movie, it's good, but it's just, it has the problem that, playing Jesus is just really hard. Really hard for any actor. And it doesn't matter how good of an actor you are, you're playing Jesus. It's just hard to do. It suffers from that problem. But John Wayne is the lead Roman in that, and John Wayne's the bad guy. So I worship. I would say worship. I look up to actors like that, who were men, and I think that if
I'm fine with people like looking up to actors, and if they were like a really good person, but like what I'm talking about is like people who will want to hear nothing bad about those people, that they think those people are literally gods.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I look up to Alfred Hitchcock. Now, Alfred Hitchcock.
But do you think he's like a god? Do you think?
No, because Alfred Hitchcock was a, I could admit that he was a creepy little man. I mean, he wanted to.
Yeah. See, what
what I'm talking about is people like my brother.
Yeah.
They take their love for something way too far sometimes.
Well, I mean, even look at Stanley Kubrick. I mean, I look up to Stanley Kubrick, but I can admit that he was he was not very nice to Shelley Duvall on the set of The Shining, and that's public knowledge. But
I really like his movies, but not every just because someone makes something you like doesn't always mean that they're the best person.
yeah, well, and Stanley Kubrick though, what doesn't get talked about a whole lot with that, I can't defend what Stanley Kubrick did, but I can understand it. Shelley Duvall showed up drunk on set and cost hours of shooting because she was hungover severely, and Stanley Kubrick lost it, and to the point where she did lose her hair, and after that he really gave her a hard time about her drinking, and she never touched the bottle after that but that doesn't get talked about a whole lot, and it's actually not something you can find on Google because Google wants to hide that because they want to portray Stanley Kubrick as this, madman who was very harsh towards Shelley Duvall and everything. I'm not defending what Stanley Kubrick did at all. I think what he did is horrible. But if I was a director and an actress was causing hours of shooting because she could not perform because she was drunk, yeah, you better believe it. I'm going to lose my temper with you.
Because this is your job. Your job is acting. You should be there to
be professional.
do your job, not just sit there and be like, oh well, I drank a little bit too much, but still
yes,
doing like what he did.
Yeah, I think what he did was wrong, but there's always another side to every story, and Stanley Kubrick's side sadly doesn't get talked about. And even some of the directors back in the day were creepy. I mean, and even one of the only ones that I really respected and honestly for all intents and purposes was a good man. I mean, he had his other issues. I mean, he was a scumbag towards his wife, but I don't agree with what they had an arrangement basically. I don't agree with that, but okay. That was Cecil B. DeMille. Cecil B. DeMille. If you want to know good directing and good Hollywood directing, study the work of Cecil B. DeMille because that is how you make epics, by watching Cecil B. DeMille. A lot of his movies are for free on YouTube. If y'all are okay with watching a silent movie, a silent epic, so.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, so a lot of his movies are in the public domain, so just type in Cecil B. DeMille full movies, and yes. But anyway, before we get a little too out there and everything, because we're done talking about young Indiana Jones. We're just kind of talking now. I kind of wanted to end this episode for you guys, but if you like what you hear, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to get 420 subscribers to do a 420 Q&A. A lot of people have asked, why did I pick that number? It's just to be funny, I mean, my first Q&A, I did the 69 Q&A, and that was just meant to be fun for you guys, because I have a very dry sense of humor, and so I think if I did the 69 Q&A, that's just funny. The 420 Q&A is just I like that roll your eyes sense of humor. That's what I like. I'm at 322, 23 now. So if you want to, do all that, get more, do all that. You got anything you want to plug on your channel?
Well, for right now, please, if anyone out there wants to voice a Spider-Man villain, please contact me. I have a Discord. It is called Pumpkin Bomb. Or contact me on my YouTube channel because I want to keep this series going. But the problem is I got no one to voice characters. So next one I'm going to be doing is Cletus Cassidy.
I will be voicing him, of course, because I couldn't find anyone. Actually, well, wait. I'm gonna post a video asking someone, like, leave it down in the comments below. If you go to my channel, there'll be a link, and if you want to voice the character,
Yeah.
like a character.
Hey. So I guess the next character, people, for those who don't know his real identity, it's Carnage.
Yeah, Carnage. Cletus Cassidy.
Yep. Apparently going to be played by Woody Harrelson in Venom 2, which I cannot see him as Cletus. So.
Well, as long as they get his character right, and all they have to do is make a serial killer who has a symbiote, which should be pretty easy, not that hard.
Yeah. Well, so goodbye for now. We'll, see you guys in the next episode, which is the episode that Devin got confused by, because they put it in the wrong order. The next episode is, what'd you say, Demons of
Deception. That's what okay, so if you're watching the same one I'm watching, Demons of Deception will appear before Traces of Hell. Apparently, those episodes are supposed to be flipped.
Yeah, but you could watch this series out of order, people. So goodbye for now. I hope you guys are enjoying this little, this Indiana Jones podcast. I'm gonna try to get to more reviews this week. I've just been, to be honest, folks, I've just been lazy. So yes, goodbye for now. Have a great time watching movies. I'm Ty with Junebug Films.
And I'm Master of Fear, Devin Hurd, and we will see you guys in the next episode.
Bye!